2023, we have got the status of IIM Mumbai. Finance is one area where we are going in big ways.
Indian Institute of Management has a mandate to fulfill any kind of skill gap. So we always believe in a mixed mode of delivery. They are in the spotlight where they can showcase their talents and they can get picked up by the right people.
When we started off as a training institute established in collaboration with Indian International Labour Organization and Ministry, we have come a long way offering a lot of postgraduate programs, and most importantly, our entire focus has always been on applied content through various outreach activities.
These academic programs are under different categories. So some of them are 1-year executive MBA programs, which are full-time programs. But at the same time, to increase our outreach, we are also launching several blended postgraduate programs.
Namaskar. It is indeed a privilege to be interacting on this virtual platform with the various alumni, the faculty, and the individuals who are taking up this executive MBA in ports, logistics, and supply management. The Bureau of Labour Statistics has validated that there would be 18% job growth in the logistics sector. Logistics is important as it adds to the value chain. Presently, as a percentage of GDP based on realistic calculation, we are reflecting it as 7.9%. However, we need to bring it down to international standards, coupling that with ease of doing business to a global benchmark best of 7 to 8%. This would then translate into more value for the manufacturer who is manufacturing in India and exporting for the global market. Being incumbent in the office of the Director General of Shipping, which is now transitioning to the Directorate General of Maritime Administration, I'm taking this opportunity to give you an overview of the blue economy, the maritime domain, and its criticality as it powers India's economic growth. As I do reach out to you, we are passing through one of the most difficult times in shipping in an actual choke of the Strait of Hormuz, given the escalation of conflict in the Middle East. We have merchant vessels which by international law are to be allowed the innocent passage and right of transit in international waters. This has affected critical global supply lines and for our own nation impacted the very critical supply lines for the country's energy security. Given this context of changing geopolitical scenario, and how deeply it impacts the Indian economy, each one of the individuals who is undertaking this executive MBA and interfacing with the maritime domain has their own responsibility in furthering this cause. Please allow me to make a very brief presentation which will be concise and a focused overview on the sector. This highlights the contribution of the blue economy towards Viksit Bharat 2047. 95% of the EXIM cargo is on mercantile routes, 70% by fiscal value. And with the 11,000 plus kilometers of coastline, and interestingly, the 5,500 plus inland waterways, ensuring a modal shift from road and rail to coasting and water will ensure the rightful impact of the logistics and the blue economy's contribution to the national economic growth. As you are in a phenomenally established national leading institute, ranked 6th in the NIRF rankings established in 1963 as the precursor institute NITI, and today the Indian Institute of Management, Mumbai, while we further the national education policy, what is the maritime vision specifically related to maritime training is something that I wanted to significantly interface. There are two vision documents which have been launched under the inspiration of the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji. The first is the Maritime India Vision 2030 and the second is the Maritime Amrit Kal Vision 2047. Chapter 10 of the Maritime India Vision 2030 talks about India being propelled to a top seafaring nation. We are looking at contributing close to 20% to 25% of the global seafaring capital, as seafarers are key workers and those who are critical to maintaining global supply lines. And we are looking at developing India as a world-class education, research and training destination specifically for the maritime domain. A little bit of introduction on the statutory role of the Directorate General of Shipping. We are transforming into the Directorate General of Maritime Administration after the notification of the Merchant Shipping Act 2025, which is a revamped act of the Legacy Act of 1958. As is visible, the main statutory responsibilities under the Act are to protect and advance India's maritime interests as a statutory regulator, to look at the assessment and the competencies of seafarers while ensuring their safety, security and welfare. Sustainability also is a major responsibility endowed on the Directorate General of Shipping, while we also maintain navigational standards and promote maritime navigational safety, port and vessel security in coordination with port authorities and security agencies. The red blips on the map geospatially indicates our presence all along India's coastline, with one mercantile marine department at Noida to facilitate the seafarers for their competency examinations. The middle strip, which reveals those 5 acts which have been passed by the Parliament in 2025 and are redefining the entire legislative framework of the maritime domain. These being the Merchant Shipping Act 2025, the Carriage of Goods Act by Sea 2025, Coastal Shipping Act, which is bifurcated from the Merchant Shipping Act 2025, the Indian Ports Act and the Bill of Lading Act 2025. In the maritime domain, just as the motto of IIM Mumbai is "Knowledge triumphs everywhere," similarly, knowledge-led transformation will be defined on 2 pillars of maritime transformation. The first being technology. Technology will act both as an enabler and a disruptor. It will include digital platforms, it will include net zero technologies, furthering decarbonization, and the slide essentially touches upon the bullet points which encapsulate what will be happening in the Technology Connect. While sustainability will define the guardrails as to how we engage and invest in our future to ensure a cleaner, safer, secure and healthier future for our coming generations, and how shipping, by embracing the net zero framework in terms of energy, would be contributing by way of energy responsibility and investments in transitioning from the present carbon footprint to a lower, and eventually by 2050 as an aspirational target by the IMO of a net zero framework. Decarbonization in the maritime domain will be furthered by this beehive structure, the hexagon, which talks about the 7 basic pillars under the National Green Shipping Policy. Green shipping, which has a structured green corridor program where you have vessels which transition to net zero fuels or ZNZ fuels, alternate fuels, which will include the transitional fuel of LNG, additives in fuels such as biofuels, alternate fuels such as methanol, ammonia, and hydrogen. Investing in the efficiency indexing of vessels in terms of their emissions by bringing in a sustainability index other than the compliance index for the standards where a vessel is subjected to a port state or flag state inspection and survey, use of shore power with renewable energy powering the shore power establishment and infrastructure, and of course ship recycling, wherein with the Hong Kong Convention with 115 yards at Alang Sosia, India is pitched to become the topmost ship recycling destination globally. We also should remember the huge emphasis on shipbuilding. 10,000 GT plus the infrastructure status. As on date, we have close to just 1% of the global tonnage. This would be transitioned to adding almost 20 times the present deadweight tonnage capacity in terms of shipbuilding. What you see is 30,000 GT as the current annual tonnage. We are pushing to unlock up to 4.5 million cross tonnage in terms of shipbuilding. This will propel a job drive of 30 lakh and close to 4.5 lakh crores of investment. Each of the tentative destinations being showcased on the coastal states is where you have the inherent shipbuilding capacities which are to be augmented, as I said. The government has a structured program towards this, which has 4 pillars. It's close to around 70,000 crores of commitment financially, wherein 24,736 crores is for Pillar 1, which is a shipbuilding financial assistance scheme. Pillar 2 is the Maritime Development Fund, which enables long-term financing and also low interest, easy soft capital infusion in the maritime domain. The direct funding in terms of support for the shipbuilding development scheme for greenfield and brownfield capacity creation in shipyards, setting up an India Ship Technology Center as basically the single repository and apex body under the Central University of the India Maritime University to further capacity building in shipbuilding. And as I had mentioned, the 5 legislations, a continuing engagement for ease of doing business with taxation reforms, flagging reforms, and a continuing engagement for ease of doing business. Coming back to training in maritime, I had earlier showcased a slide which talked about the Maritime India vision and the Amritkal vision for maritime training. This slide is an encapsulation of leveraging the power of disruption and the power of outreach of technology in training. Each of these is the major efforts being done to have a digital platform to provide more service-centric and easier turnaround times in the maritime domain. The examination reform involves the certification of competencies of written and oral, which is being computerized end-to-end to remove any human ambiguity. The maritime training module for allowing all the 170 plus maritime training institutes, both pre-sea and post-sea, to be on one single digital platform, a deep learning management system with a digitized training assessment record for the ship on board training, centralized attendance system for monitoring the physical attendance at the maritime training institutes, specifically the pre-sea ones, and furthering knowledge intensive platforms such as the Maritime Knowledge Cluster and continuous assessment and certification for the faculty development is the macrocosm of how the maritime training and assessment and certification universe in India is being pushed to the global best benchmark standards. The India seafaring scenario, as I mentioned, the jump from the present 12% to the 20% to capture major segment of the global human capital, retain the respectability Indian seafarers have as professional competent seafarers, infuse in them the right work and life balance with a Sagar Mein Yog, which is 10 components of mind, body, spirit unison, which allows you to adopt a professional career such as seafaring with its inherent challenges, maintain your mental balance, resilience, and while you serve, excel professionally. Sagar Mein Samman is our salute to the women who choose a career in Indian maritime. This is to honor the women at sea and to provide for them a zero tolerance framework for any form of discrimination and furthering and supporting every single lady's initiative to enable her to walk equally step by step along her male counterpart in the maritime domain. It is very important to ensure that the ideological commitment remains in every effort which is backed by transparent, accountable, and result-oriented policy. It is in the implementation that the essence lies. We have been hearing multiple complaints of fraud and cheating and illegal recruitment of seafarers. Our nation also has the infamous distinction of being stated as the nation having the highest numbers of abandoned seafarers. This happens because of illicit practices in crewing. The Directorate General of Maritime Administration will further the cause of zero tolerance for any corrupt fraud practices in crewing, and we will institutionalize a 24/7 grievance redressal mechanism which will handhold the seafarer once he enters into a professional career or a lady chooses to have a career either on board or on shore. While we may talk about multiple aspects, seafaring remains challenging, and the first universal law is Suraksha Sarvapratham, or safety first. We need to further a zero accident framework. We are working towards an Indian global maritime safety platform which will have online teaching and experience sharing platforms which will basically reveal casualty analysis videos and a culture to be precipitated where seafarers always in their professional commitment place safety first. This is what the Directorate General furthers as its singular core. For us, the human capital in maritime, be it seafarers, be it any professional onshore or in any way related to the maritime domain, they essentially form the most important element, and it is for us as the statutory authorities with cooperation from all the stakeholders in the maritime domain to ensure that the human element is given their safety, security and effective freedom to participate in the story of national growth and progress by contributing to best of their capabilities and might. I must commend that programs such as the Executive MBA in Logistics, Supply Chain and Maritime Management by the IIM Mumbai in partnership with the Company of Master Mariners of India, which is a professional association, will go a long way in giving us the rightful intellectual capital and lead. I close with this hymn from the Rig Veda: Sangachvam Samvatvam Samvomanasyam Janatam, meaning move together, speak together, may your minds be in harmony. I am grateful for this wonderful interaction with you, where a small commitment of time and effort has been made to showcase a ringside view. Thank you for the opportunity and for the patient and attentive listening. Jai Hind.
Respected faculty members, industry colleagues and professionals, the logistics, supply chain and maritime sectors today are at a very interesting point of transformation. What was once seen as a separate domain, that is shipping, ports, transportation, warehousing, distribution, has now become a highly integrated ecosystem. Every decision taken in one part of the system has a direct impact on the rest. Global trade patterns are evolving, supply chains are being redesigned for resilience, digital technologies are reshaping visibility and control, sustainability is becoming a core business requirement rather than a compliance obligation. In such an environment, the expectations from professionals are changing rapidly. Experience becomes important, domain knowledge becomes important, but increasingly, what differentiates professionals is the ability to think beyond their function, to understand the full picture and to connect operations with strategy, to link decisions with financial outcomes, to lead teams and manage complexity. This shift is what defines the transition from being an experienced professional to becoming a leader. And this transition does not automatically happen with time. It requires structured learning. It requires stepping back from day-to-day work and developing a broader perspective. How the entire logistics and supply chain ecosystem functions, how decisions are made at strategic levels, and how organizations create long-term value. This is where programs like the Executive MBA in Logistics, Supply Chain and Maritime Management by IIM Mumbai and CMMI become highly relevant. Such programs are not only theory in isolation, they are about connecting real-world experience with management thinking. They help professionals understand areas that are often outside their immediate role, like finance, analytics, strategy, digital transformation, sustainability, and leadership. Equally important is the learning environment. When professionals from different parts of the ecosystems come together, shipping, ports, logistic providers, manufacturing supply chains, e-commerce networks, they begin to understand how interconnected the system really is. The exposure changes the way decisions are made. It brings clarity, it brings confidence, it brings a more holistic approach to problem solving. Another important aspect is career progression. Many professionals reach a stage where growth becomes gradual or even stagnant. The next level requires a different mindset, moving from execution to decision making, from managing tasks to leading organizations. Structural management education often becomes the bridge for this transition. It enables professionals to reposition themselves for larger responsibilities. It also signals readiness to organizations, to leadership teams, and even to oneself. In today's competitive environment, continuous learning is no longer optional. It is essential. Those who continue to learn remain relevant. Those who adapt grow. Those who invest in themselves move ahead. The logistics, supply chain and maritime sectors will continue to evolve with technology, with sustainability, with global integration. The professionals who will lead this change are those who prepare themselves for it. I encourage all professionals to take a long-term view of their careers and consider how they can build not only experience but also perspective and leadership capability. Thank you.
Good day, industry leaders and professionals. At some point in every professional career, there comes a stage when an important question arises: what is the next level? For many, early years are about learning, gaining, experiencing, building competence and understanding the industry. But as one progresses, the expectations change. The role is no longer just about doing the job well. It becomes about making decisions, leading teams, understanding business impacts. This transition from execution to the leadership is not always straightforward. It requires a shift in thinking, a shift from operational focus to strategic perspective, from individual contribution to organizational impact, from experience-based decision to structured analytical thinking. Especially in the sectors like logistics, supply chain and maritime, this shift is even more important because the ecosystem is highly interconnected. A decision in logistics affects supply chain. A supply chain decision affects cost, service and competitiveness. And all of this ultimately impacts business performances. This is where the structured program like Executive MBA in Logistics, Supply Chain and Maritime Management by prestigious institute IIM Mumbai in collaboration with the Company of Masterminds of India CMMI play a very important role. Such programs provide professionals with ability to step back and see the larger picture. They help in understanding how different parts of business connect: operations, finance, strategy, technology and leadership. They also create an environment where professionals learn not only from faculty but from each other. The peer group itself becomes a powerful learning platform. When professionals upgrade their knowledge and understanding, they approach decisions differently. They participate more actively in strategic discussions. Another important factor is adaptability. The business environment today is changing rapidly. New technologies, new business models, and new expectations are emerging continuously. Professionals who invest in learning are better prepared to adapt, they are more open to change, they are more confident in handling uncertainties, and they are better positioned for future opportunities. In many ways, this E-MBA program is the key to the future, not because it is expected, but because it enables professionals to remain relevant and effective. This program is designed especially for the working professionals, allowing them to continue their career while upgrading their capabilities, provide practical and effective pathway. I would encourage all professionals to reflect on their own career journey and consider how they can prepare themselves for the next level. Because in the end, growth is a choice and learning is the path that enables that growth. I welcome you all on this prestigious, important E-MBA program in logistics, supply chain and maritime management. Thank you.